Hey everybody, welcome back to the Portable Gamer. Welcome back to American Truck Simulator. Welcome back to Las Vegas, Nevada. You gotta say Nevada. Don't say Nevada. I don't know why that pisses them off, but they really don't like it. It's like the whole Oregon thing. Be careful with that one as well. Right, so we're still in our Monster Mac Anthem highway hauler. We've got a reefer on. We just picked up a load of office supplies. I don't think office supplies need to be refrigerated, but we're hauling them just the same. I have a question about that when we get rolling. When we get rolling, I'm curious. We're not, let's see, got everything. Lift axle is up, we're in gear. We got everything, here we go. So we're not an owner-operator, but I'm curious if an owner-operator that had a reefer would haul other things rather than deadheading. I assume they would, but I also don't know if there's some kind of food safety law that says there are certain things you cannot, by law, put in a reefer because they might mess with food that would go in there at a later date. I don't know. So, right, we're going to Utah. We're going to St. George, and it's not a super long trip. We may make it in one episode. We may not. But we'll do our very best. So right out here, I do like this new, oh, we're going this way. All right, switch it up on me. I see what you did. Let's be safe. Getting a good gear here. Yeah, let's be safe. You know, in real life, you might have a spotter for something like this. Now, as a trucker, I don't know if you would necessarily want a spotter. I don't know if you would want somebody from the yard, one of the helpers or something, to come out and give you a hand getting out on the highway. But you would have access to that if you needed it. So every time I go third person, I say we're just using the spotter. All right, so we get out here, turn signal off, windows up, because it is Las Vegas, and it's very warm in Las Vegas. Right, you know, something I've noticed in 1.38 is the traffic seems to need a little bit of tuning, a little bit of adjusting. I've been getting rammed in both ETS and ATS, particularly where things merge, right? At like a construction zone, that sort of thing, where you've got two lanes merging down into one. I've had a lot of cars just kind of drive into the side of me when I'm well past them and out of their, you would think, out of their trigger. They still merge right into the side of me. So I don't know if that is something that I'm just noticing more, or if that's something that needs a little tuning, a little tweaking. I didn't see anything in the notes for 1.38 about AI, but that doesn't mean anything. Could be something they are experimenting with. Could be something that's broken unintentionally due to something else. Could just be something that I'm, you know, a little confirmation bias. I think I'm noticing it, but it's not really happening. Could be a lot of things, but man, it has been frustrating. So what else is going on? Yeah, 1.38. We're in 1.38 beta for both ETS and ATS. And we still have sort of a vague date for Idaho. And that is going to be summer of 2020. We have no date yet for Iberia, and I'll tell you about that after this guy pulls through. And across the street there, this is the first time I've seen this. Well, I saw it driving earlier, but I don't think I've ever seen this before. Street sweepers actually out street sweepering. And that sort of stuff is what makes me wonder about AI, because it seems like there is more variance in the speed of vehicles that are out and about, which I like. I hit, I want to say, a horse trailer a couple episodes ago that was going very, very slowly in traffic. I like that. It's just going to take a little getting used to. So we'll see if it all, like I said, if that has something to do with the merging traffic. We'll figure it out. But yeah, 1.38 for both ETS and ATS. Super happy about that. Got a date for Idaho, no date for Iberia. And I saw a comment from somebody that Iberia, Sir? He doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He's got no idea. Sir? That Iberia will be for 1.39 And typically they release the DLC side by side. Yeah, there's another Street Sweeper. That's going to need, we'll need, we'll need to get the spawn rate for those adjusted a little bit. I've seen those all over Las Vegas. Typically they release the DLC side by side. So this would be a little bit new if they release Idaho and then Iberia at a later date. But you know what? I'm okay with that. I'm okay with pretty much anything from SCS. I'm really happy with the way they're taking care of the game. Although I continue to be very curious and concerned about what's going to happen to this game. Whether they're going to keep tuning this one. There are advantages to that. But then you look at something like, go on then. Go on then. Jesus. Sir. Yeah, that sort of thing is really, it feels like it needs a little adjusting. Yeah, there are advantages to keeping the game going. But then you take a look at something like the Train Simulator franchise, and it's just it's an old game. I don't think it looks very good. Yeah, this is killing me. The way traffic is behaving lately. And then there are also advantages to going with a new game, right? Redesigning the game, ground up. There's an appeal to that. But there's a downside to it as well, which is that you need to buy a game and buy a bunch of new DLC. And it's also going to cost SCS a lot of money to do that. The current model, and I heard that SCS went from like 8 employees when ATS 2 was released to over 100 now. That's a rumor. Don't know if that's true or not, but 100 people. And that's a lot of payroll. That's a lot of paychecks to cut. And so, you know, the model that they're currently working with, where they're just making DLC for the game and continuing to patch and upgrade the game, that's a completely different model than completely building a new game from the ground up. I don't even know if they, as a studio, could build a new game from the ground up on a new engine, new technology. I don't know if they're that good, and I don't mean that in a bad way. But, you know, a company like, I don't know, DICE or Ubisoft or Bethesda has a skill set, you know, and a smaller independent developer has a different skill set. It is what it is. So I don't know if they could do that. I like the idea of them taking on an investor. I don't like the idea of them taking on an investor. I'm concerned that our beloved truck sim franchise, they'd try to make it into Rust or Fortnite or a smartphone app. Something that would make the investor huge piles of money, and they wouldn't really care about what happens to our game that we've been playing faithfully for years. So yeah, there's a lot of unknowns, but when I look at something like the Train Simulator franchise, it's long in the tooth. It is not a good looking game. From some angles, this game that we're playing right now is not a good looking game. And I know as it gets older and the world sort of passes it by, it's, for lack of a better word, it's just going to look worse and worse. So we'll see how it all works out. All right, here's a little traffic merging opportunity. Let's see if we can get through this without being sideswiped. All right, so first we got to get over here, which we do. All right. Going slow, and we're merging. So he goes. All right, the Camaro goes. Now the car behind. What's that one do? He waits. Okay. All right, that's what I want to happen. So that's all I got for Truck Sim. Everything else, I told you about everything else last ETS episode. All the sims that I'm waiting for. We've got F1 coming. We've got TSW2 coming. We've got WRC8 coming. The embargo's going to lift. And we've got, what's the other one? Dirt 5 coming. And other than that, I've just been kind of burying myself in DCS. Something really interesting happened with DCS. And I think I may have told you sort of a little bit about this, but I can tell you a little bit more about it. DCS, extremely detailed, very realistic combat flight simulator. It's awesome. If anything, it's too detailed. There's too much going on, too many buttons, too many switches. Things happen too quickly. The physics of the aircraft, the flight dynamics are so sort of unforgiving, I guess. It's a great sim, but it's been very difficult for me to play it. I have a decent flight stick, but it's not a big HOTAS setup with like 50 buttons on it. And I don't have track IR. And the way the living cockpit is set up in that game, where everything does something, every switch, every button, everything, and it's all the systems from the real aircraft. In my case, the P-51 Mustang is the only plane I fly. But there's a lot going on. There really is. And there's two ways you can deal with all that. You can either use, for me, since I don't have track IR, you can use the hat switch to look down at the instrument panel and then use your mouse to move around and click things on the actual instrument panel, or you can use the keyboard. Keyboard it's immersion breaking. It's a little bit better because it's a 3D cockpit and there are things that are behind other things. So you have a fuel selector switch that is directly behind the flight stick. In-game, I mean. So if you want to, carefully, if you want to hit that with the mouse, you actually need to like move in your seat sideways to get a better view of it. If not, you'll just continue to move the cursor onto the flight stick. So the keyboard helps with that, but that's not without problems in its own way, because there are menus, there are macros, there are drop downs. There are, I think, 700 commands for the aircraft that I fly. It's crazy. To the point where I couldn't do it. Even with kind of a simplified flight model and something set to auto, I couldn't do it. And you know, the solution is to get a $500 HOTAS flight stick and track IR. And that'll happen at some point, but it's not going to happen anytime soon. So I was looking for kind of a workaround. I saw a voice attack and I got it. It was on sale. The Steam sale was on sale for like $8. So I went ahead and got that. And I thought, I wonder if somebody's done this already, because the idea of configuring all those 700 or 500 or however many commands there are, some things have multiple positions. So there might be one switch with 4 positions. So it's not like there are 700 different buttons to press. But there's still a lot of things to input. And I was curious if somebody had done that already. So I looked online, and sure enough, somebody had built the entire profile for the P-51 Mustang and DCS. So I downloaded that. Just took a minute. Frame rate is tanking right now. Curious why. All right, picking back up a little. Something going on. And essentially, I can just talk to my aircraft now. So when we're on the runway, I can tell it flaps 10, close canopy, all that sort of stuff. When we take off, I can tell it to reset trimmers and select fuel tanks and do all that stuff, and more or less just keep my eyes on what's in front of me and fly the plane. So it's made it possible to play DCS. And it's not, I mean, it's immersive, I guess. It's a little immersion breaking. Certainly, I would prefer a big HOTAS stick and a bunch of button boxes. I would love that, but I don't have the space for it, and it's not in the budget right now. But yeah, that sort of thing is, are we going to St. George, or are we going to Cedar City? Oh, you know what? We may be going up the road a little bit. Hang on. Hang on. Yeah, we just went right through St. George. Okay. Then we are going to Cedar City. Yeah, I looked at 2 jobs. I thought we took the one for St. George, but I was wrong. Clearly, I was wrong. So yeah, stuff like that. I mean, PC World it's a crazy place to be for gaming, because everything you can think of, somebody else has most likely thought of already. And you do end up with things like, you know, a file. It's a relatively small file. You just download it, drop it into Voice Attack, and there you go. You know, all of a sudden you've got all these voice commands for DCS, and it absolutely changes the way you fly. I use Crew Chief that way on iRacing. It just does things for you that you wouldn't necessarily think are possible in the game. And if anything, it's almost like an unfair advantage, because you think of all the other people that are playing iRacing who don't use crew chief, who don't know about it or can't get it working or just, I don't know, don't like it, don't want to use it. But it really is, for me, it's a crazy advantage to have all that information just spoken to you. And if you need to know something or if you want to do something, you can just give the command by voice. Now that is immersive. I don't find that to be immersion breaking at all, because in real life, in racing, if you want different tire pressure after a pit stop, you don't do anything in the cockpit. You don't do anything in the car. You just tell your crew chief over the radio, and they do it for you the next time you stop. So I find that to be super, super immersive, and it's just fun too. It's, I know there are very high-level iRacing drivers that have an actual crew chief, like they're not they're not talking to an app on their radio. They're talking to a person who does those things for them and has information for them about pit stops and fuel and that sort of thing. But I don't have that, so having an app is super, super nice. All right, we are in Cedar City. Very carefully make our way through town in this gigantic truck. All right. Here, Utah. When I drive this game, play this game. When I play this game, I tend to think of, in the real world, it is the season that it is. No, I said that backwards. In the game, it is the season that it is for me in the real world. So right now, it's early summer. And I think, yeah, early summer in Cedar City at, what time is it? 1 in the afternoon, 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's probably, I don't know, 90 degrees, 100 degrees. And in fact, yeah, right there on the dash, 98 degrees right now. So we'll leave the windows up and the AC on. But exactly the same thing happens in winter. If I were in Cedar City in the winter, it would probably be at 1 in the afternoon, it would be like 70, 75 maybe. So I don't know. I'm curious how often that's going to come up, and when a developer will sort of overlap that, or whatever day it is in real life for you, it'll be the same day in game. I know some games allow you to select current date. Pressure Cars 2, you can pick the current date, and as far as like the day-night cycle, when the sun sets and that sort of thing, it will automatically dial that in for the circuit that you're on based on what real day of the year it is. So, I don't know. I don't think SCS is doing that. Not yet. So we'll go right through here. That's a little dicey, sir. Uncalled for. I'm looking forward to this trip being over. This has been, you know what I mean? It's been a little stressful. Getting these here office supplies delivered. There's another one. Sir, good grief. It is different. Is it not? Traffic is different. It seems a bit more reckless right now. All right, how we doing? 19 minutes? Yeah, this will work out just about right. Right there. And I'm curious what our delivery point looks like. All right, right through here. So far, so good. I do like the amount of detail in the newer DLCs. These look really, really good. If anything, I think it's put pressure on SCS to tune up the older areas of the maps, because in comparison, they don't look quite as good as these newer areas. Okay, right through there. And what is this place? All right. Is this a new asset? I don't remember seeing this drop off before. I will not. Go right in here. Yeah, this looks new. Don't think I've seen this one before. All right, where are we going? It's very nice back here. All right. Curious. We can fit under here, right? Yeah, we can. All right. So if we, I guess we could just loop all the way around and then kind of stuff it back in there. Will that work? Let's find out. And of course we have like the longest trailer. I think the only trailer longer than this in base game is that cargo container hauler. This thing is, it's got some length to it. All right, here we go. So we want that way. And then like so. And I think, yeah, we'll straighten this out a little bit, but I think that's about the best way we could have done that. All right, it's backed up. There we go. Windows down. Engine off. Let's see how we did. All right. No tickets, no damage. Beautiful. There you have it. Thanks for stopping back to check out the Portable Gamer. Thanks for joining us for another episode of American Truck Simulator. See you next time. Take care now.